I think it is very, very, very important for victims' names never to be forgotten.
Yep.
And hey everyone, it's Big Sis.
And Lil Sis,
Let's discuss
Too
Too Hot
Too Hot True Crime Docs. Before we jump in, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Now let's get into it.
Okay, so there was one really big true crime 3-part series that dropped a couple days ago.
Mm-hmm.
There was another one that dropped a little while ago.
One of them dropped, same week. One of them dropped 2 days ago, and the other one dropped about 4 days ago, I'd say. So pretty close together.
Yeah. Okay, so we watched both of them. So the first one that we watched was Gabby,
Petito.
thank you. And the most recent one we just watched was the story of Ruby Franke.
Yeah.
And Mel will give you a little backstory on both of them, but I think which one do you want to talk about first?
I kind of want to get into Ruby Franke first, because
Okay.
this one has been playing with me. I think you too, because it's just so mind-boggling, like what she did. But
Okay, so,
anyways,
yeah, sorry, wait. So Ruby Franke is new to me. I had no idea who she was. The only background information I knew from her was things that I saw on TikTok. You go ahead, because you have more of a relationship with that.
so when I was younger, I was a YouTube kid. Like, I loved to watch YouTube, and I found this family channel, and it was called Eight Passengers, which was her YouTube channel. Um, and they just looked like a perfect family. They looked so happy. They used to do so many fun things together as a family, and it was just so nice for kids to watch that, right? And then as I grew up to last year, I went onto TikTok and I see this lady is trending for being in jail. And I was like, what? Like, what's going on? But I didn't know they would make a documentary out of it, because I didn't know it was that serious. I thought it would have been something, I don't know, like fraud or something. I know that's still serious, but nothing to do with her family. And I didn't even realize that they had kind of disappeared for a while. But like, I kind of grew out of watching them. So I never realized, but like, as we watched the documentary, we realized why she disappeared
Yeah.
and what really happened. But yeah, that there's 6 kids in the family, and then the mom and dad, and they were all quite young when they started. I think the oldest child was about probably 12 or 13 when they started.
Sherry.
Yeah, Sherry.
That's the oldest kid, the oldest daughter.
Yeah, and then I think Chad is about 1 year or 2 years younger than her.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest of them are pretty much all really young.
I want to say like the base backstory to this. She was a religious woman living in a small community. They went to church every Sunday type thing. In their community, like the greatest thing ever was to be a mother, to have a family, and be like praised about being a good mother. The way that they explain it in like the docuseries is that she just wasn't getting enough praise. But this is also information coming from her kids and coming from her former husband. So she said she wanted to start a YouTube channel. In the beginning, it looked like they were actually having fun
Yeah.
because the kids were young, and like even like the b-roll, like the background videos that we didn't see on YouTube, they looked like they were having such a good time. But as the kids got older and as like her fame grew and she became America's mother, is how they said it in the docu footage that wasn't posted, was just so wild to watch. She would yell at the kids, like no one's allowed to talk when she's filming. She uses the word entitled so much, like you're not entitled to speak while
Mhm.
I'm recording videos, and it was just so crazy. There's just so many things like
She stopped filming videos for the fun of it and stopped filming to put out like her perfect family when they were all getting along when the kids were younger. But then she started to get in love with the fame and with the way of displaying her family as perfect. And
Mhm.
it's easy to do that when your kids are young, because you do have a lot of control over them, right? You get to tell them what is right from wrong. But when your kids start to grow a voice, when they turn about 16, 15, 16, you don't really have that control anymore. She made sure that she still had the control over them.
Mhm.
And that's where it all went wrong, because the little kids would still listen to her, but they also started to get very rebellious. And it wasn't even I didn't hear a lot in the documentary about the 2 middle children, but I heard a lot about the 2 youngest and the 2
Yeah.
oldest. But the 2 oldest, felt all the pain first, and then they moved on to the 2 youngest. I don't really know what happened with the 2, middle ones. I'm sure they still did.
No, so okay, sorry. At the end of like the three-part docu,
Mhm.
oh my god, there's just so many things I want to say before we can get to that part. Because at the end of the docu, they did show that the two middle kids were staying at some friend's house, and only
Oh,
the two little
yeah.
kids were staying at that secondary house of Jody's.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, okay. Let's just talk about it real quick though, because this woman was just, I don't know what it was. Like, maybe she was like, I just don't know. Like, I don't want to use the word psychotic because I feel like that's so harsh, and not knowing exactly what was going on in her head, besides just being so hungry for that recognition or that, like, that praise that she's a really good mother and she has the best family and that and this and that. But then she got mixed up with this therapist when she thought her kids had demons and she couldn't do this, and then her kids weren't listening to her, and like the kids didn't want to participate anymore in her videos. And I feel like the therapist,
But wait, no. First, she introduced the Jody to Chad.
yeah, because she thought Chad was like,
Oh,
because
possessed?
no, not that. I mean, that, and Chad wasn't listening to her anymore.
Oh, yeah,
He didn't
yeah.
want to be a part of the videos. But this woman, this Jody therapist woman, who we later then find out that Sherry found out that she was no longer a psychologist because her credentials got taken away. She like amplified, and when I say amplified, it became so unhealthy. Amplified her need to control and like control her kids by any means. There was times before Jody was even in the picture that she was telling us about, like, or sorry, telling us, she was saying like in the videos that, the kids have to do this and this, and she took away Chad's bed for 7 months.
Yeah.
The kid said he was sleeping on a beanbag for 7 months, and then she said in the video, have I ever given you guys anything back before 6 months?
Yeah, like,
Just so casual. But that's when their fall began. Is then they posted that video with that information. All of her fans and her people who were following her were like, what?
what's wrong with you?
What do you mean you took your kid's bed away for 7 months and made him sleep on a beanbag?
Yeah, so she continued getting hate comments to the point where she was like, I'm done with this. And then the kids went through a little like time period where everything was really calm. They said like everything was pretty normal. Their mom and dad were getting along well.
But that was when she started reaching out to Jody for herself.
Yeah, for herself. So she stopped filming everything that they were doing. And even the father, her husband, Kevin, he said like he could not speak with her without a camera being in front of her. Like
Mm-hmm.
every single thing she was doing was recorded. And that's why they were able to provide them with 1,000 hours of unedited, unseen footage.
Mm-hmm.
Because this woman was never, ever, ever trying to live in the moment with her children. Like she just wanted to document everything and put it online for money, or I don't even know if it was money, but I think it may have been more of the America's Best Mom title
Mm-hmm.
that you mentioned earlier. Everything went downhill when she met Jody. Like when she changed that 8 passengers' names to Moms of Truth,
Mm-hmm.
that's when it started going downhill.
Yep.
Because I think Jody created a what is it called? Like a little group called Connections.
Yeah, so that was her new way of amplifying her business. So instead of doing like single consultations as a therapist, she was doing group therapy using
Yeah.
this business called Connections.
And they said it was very like open, kind of a little too open. They put some clips in there and they were being a little too personal when they were in these groups, right?
Yeah, some of the other people, the one other couple that happened to be in Connections, was in the group. So they had like female sessions and male sessions, and I don't recall if they had like couple sessions because it very much looked divided from the videos.
But there was one where they showed that the men were talking to the women.
Oh, okay,
But
okay.
then the other ones was like men's group and then like I don't know what the women's group, I don't know what it was called.
So forget already that Jody's like infiltrating their lives and brainwashing this woman further to be like, okay, well, this is how you have to control your kids. It has to hurt for them to learn,
Mhm.
to like, they need to suffer to learn. The woman moves into their house.
Yeah, like
Sherry, she told her oldest daughter, she's like, you need to get out of your room because Jody needs to come live here. And then told everybody to be like, no, don't, you don't, like, no one needs to know that Jody lives here. They're not allowed to know. And then that other couple that found out because Sherry came to pick up books from them, she was like, oh yeah, Jody's living in my room. They were like, that is so weird. And then they dropped the whole Connections thing.
And when she came to live there, they said so yeah, they moved it she moved into Sherry's room, and Sherry was off at university, I believe, or college.
Yeah.
And all I remember is where Ruby was like, "Oh, like she told her husband, I need to sleep in there with her because she is going through a lot right now and she needs a friend."
Well, the whole reason why Jody even moved in was because she thought she was possessed demonically.
Yeah, and you're telling me that this woman moved out from her multi-million dollar mansion to
Mm-hmm.
come into this regular house to sleep in some random person's daughter's room with some random person
Mm.
because you feel like you're possessed, but you were the therapist. So I don't understand. You were a psychologist, so I don't understand.
So after this woman moves back into the house with them, or moves into the house with them, period, there was speculation from Sherry as well as like how other people perceived it that Ruby and Jody were like in a relationship after they were sleeping in the room together and like they would do everything together. It wasn't like a sisterly best friend bond. It
And they
became like
found
more weird.
they found massage oil.
Yeah, Sherry came to the house and went to go like get some stuff from her room. There was like candles and massage rolls all over the place. Like weird. So one day she decided Chad was doing too many sinful things
Yeah.
as a teenager, which means he was making out with girls and he shouldn't have been making out with girls. She decided that Chad was the reason why Jody was sick or possessed because he was doing sinful activities. So she told her 17-year-old son that he needs to move out. Her husband walks through the door and she's like, "Our marriage is in jeopardy. You need to leave." And bro just says, "Okay."
Yes.
Bro
Like
just says, "Okay,"
I
takes
don't
his
get
stuff and
that.
leaves, and then proceeds to tell both of them that they're not allowed to contact the family, they're not allowed to contact the kids, they're not allowed to contact her, nobody. And both of them just listen. Nobody talks to each other. And now Sherry's not here. Sherry's in school and Sherry's trying to reach out and nobody's responding to Sherry anymore. I feel like Sherry was like the only one who had any sort of like sense through
Yeah.
through it all.
I
Because
think
like Chad was brainwashed. Sorry,
yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
the father was completely brainwashed. Like, how do you just walk into your house one day and your wife says, "Get out,"
And you say
and you're like,
yes.
"Okay, bye."
No questions asked.
And she says, "Don't talk to the kids, none of the kids, not even the little ones." "Okay, bye." Like, what? So after that happens, the neighbors find out, the neighbors start to notice that like nobody is like, there's no adults at the house. There's little kids in the window. They call CPS. Sherry calls CPS or DCFS. The people come to the house. All the neighbors are like, "Yeah, there's something wrong." Sherry's like, "There's something wrong." And they're like, "Oh, well, we can't go in unless anybody has seen them in physical harm." And nobody could actually have seen them be like physically harmed. So DPS says that they couldn't do anything. Okay, fine. Now,
They also
there's
tried to get a warrant and the court didn't approve
yeah,
it.
the judge did not approve the warrant to go search the house like without having that physical like hurt proof. Okay, whatever. Now, more time is going by. More time is going by and the neighbor people are still noticing that nobody is here and that's because Jody and Ruby completely almost completely moved out of the house and were living in her house 4 hours away in St. George cuz this takes place in Utah. They live in Utah and Jody has this big mansion there, and the only the two little kids are there. Okay, so now they flash forward into the future. The little kids are now older. I think the boy is now 12 years old, opposed to like being like 4 or 5 years old.
And if you saw this child, you
Mm,
would think he was still 4 or 5.
yeah.
Like it was so sad to see.
So there was a ring doorbell. There's ring doorbell footage. He escaped. The younger boy, he escaped and was ringing doorbells in that neighborhood where he was being held. And he goes to this one guy's house and he says, "Oh, can you do me two favors?" And he's like, "Can you take me to the nearest police station?" And like the guy who opens the door, he realizes like something is obviously not right here. And now he's on the phone with the police officer and he's like, somebody needs to get down here ASAP because there's a small 12-year-old boy here. He looks completely malnourished. Sorry. He's skin and bones. His ankles are duct taped and bruised with rope. His ankles and his wrists were duct taped with saran wrap.
And cayenne pepper.
Yeah, honey and cayenne pepper.
What is that meant to burn?
I guess so.
Little boy.
Then the police they go, they break down the house, they find Jody, they find the other thing. I think they were twins, I'm not sure.
I don't think so. No, they're 1 year apart, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Well, they find the other girl, the other little girl, and she's like sitting in a closet in the bathroom with her head completely shaved, also super malnourished. skin and bones,
Oh, yeah, they shaved her head.
and she's like terrified to talk to the cops. The cops just have to sit there on the floor. They brought her food and try to make her comfortable so they could get her out of the house. Now Ruby is nowhere to be found. Why does she call her husband finally after a year and says, "Oh, the kids are possessed demonically and they admitted it to it and now the cops have them. You need to go get them." Bro says, "Okay." Again,
Like,
goes to the police station now, says, "Oh, I'm here, I'm so and so, I'm here to pick up the two kids that are being held here." The lady at the desk is like, "Yeah, the cops are gonna want to talk to you because no." So they sit him down and like they're telling him like all this stuff that's been going on with the kids, how the kids have been like abused, and he's like, "I just don't understand what you're saying, I just don't believe it." Whatever. So now he goes back to this family house that they were supposed to stay at, and Chad meets him there, the oldest son. And now he's telling Chad, and both of them are like, "What? Like, this doesn't make sense." Me and Mel are sitting there watching the show, like, "How? How? How?
yeah.
How? How? How?" Okay. Then there's a neighbor, there's a couple. Oh my God. There's a couple, the guy and the wife, they go to the house, and now the husband of the couple and I don't even remember the father's name. He pissed me off so
Kevin?
bad. Yeah, they're sitting down talking now and they're explaining it. And he's like so confused. He's like, "I don't know. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense, blah, blah, blah." And they said that the guy said they sat down and talked for 6 hours. And he's like, I could see the point where he started to realize that he's been brainwashed all this time. And like a part of me, like Mel really doesn't feel like he was brainwashed because like how could you not see the signs that your wife was being so ridiculous?
And, like, there's just so much footage of her screaming at these kids, like,
Mhm.
I understand parenting, but that is not parenting, like, she was verbally abusing them.
She treated them like employees and not like her
Yeah,
kids.
and $10 per video. This girl
Yeah.
is a millionaire, and she was paying her kids $10 a video. I
Mhm.
saw a TikTok, actually, side note, that they're starting to implement a law. I don't know if this is true, but they're starting to implement a law in Utah that the kids must get 15% profit from each video if you family vlog,
Good.
which is, it took you that long? Like, that's my point.
Well, it's just sad that parents do that where they exploit their kids and then
Mhm.
like people have to even put these laws in place like you shouldn't have to. I don't know. This Ruby Frankie thing is like so stressful to look at because it's like as Mel said, she's growing up and she's watching this family and she's like, this family's so happy, this family's so perfect, and like in the background, these kids are suffering,
So
suffering,
sad.
and it's so scary to think that like okay, we caught Ruby because it was so extreme. How many other YouTubers are doing that?
Exactly.
How many other family YouTubers are like that? And I think the thing that stands out the most for me and Mel from this 3-part docu was when Ruby is sitting down with Chad and he's like asking him questions about the origin of his name, and she's like, "Well, you need to help me." She's like, "I help you, so you need to help me." And he's like, "I just can't do this right now." She's like, "Well, fake it." She's
Yeah.
like, "Fake being happy." She's like, "If you can't do it, fake it." And he's like, "I just don't know if I can do it right now." And like that was so sad. I think that was like a really standout moment for me out
It
of all like
was.
the chaos.
It was.
It was just so nuts. So that was that
Yeah.
for Ruby Frankie. If you haven't watched it, where do you watch it on?
Disney Plus or Hulu. I don't think we have Hulu in Canada.
No, it's not available in our region.
Yeah, but if you're in the US, Hulu and Disney Plus over here.
It's just nutsy putsy.
But even if you know the story already, I'm telling you, watch it, because I knew the story a little bit when it happened in 2023. There's just so much more that they uncover in the series that I think you're not gonna find on TikTok, you're not gonna find on YouTube.
Well,
Like,
now you will.
well, yeah, yeah, now you will. But like,
However,
just watch it.
yeah, and honestly, I would say it's a really good watch because there was so much of true footage that was taken. It wasn't a lot of like storytelling
Yeah.
or they were like trying to piece it together. Like no, there was a lot of just genuine footage of that she took herself that really just shows how ridiculous it was and like I don't understand how people would be able to draw the conclusion that she wasn't just nuts.
Yeah. She
Mm,
was crazy.
I know. Now, Gabby,
Petito.
thank you. I just can never say her last name. Girl,
So sad.
so sad.
I was in shock when I watched that, or when we watched that. I didn't know much about her story at all before this documentary. I heard of it, like, I don't know where I heard of it. I
Probably
heard of it,
TikTok.
yeah, probably TikTok. I heard about it a little bit, but I never really heard about it in depth like this. And let me tell you, it was a roller coaster. It was insane.
Mhm.
And to think that this poor young girl had to go through and suffer that, I hope she's resting peacefully.
Yeah. Okay, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Is what's his name, Brian?
Brian, yeah.
Is he older than her? I don't remember.
I think they were about the same age because they went to high school together.
Okay. So I think he might have been like maybe a year older.
Maybe, yeah.
I'm unclear because
He
I
looked a
feel like I
little.
remember at the beginning they were like, oh, this older guy was hanging out with them.
Oh, so he didn't go to high school with them.
And I'm just not clear. But that's
Okay.
neither here nor there. He was like,
Brian.
yeah, he basically like they got together and like she really liked him because they were friends previously, and then they got married one day, and then they decided that Gabby wanted to be like a trap,
Van vlogger.
yeah, a van vlogger. I was gonna say travel vlogger, but it is very much van vlogger. Like they had that white moving van type thing, and they were just driving cross country and videoing and vlogging and stuff like that. I don't know if like he just got like tired of her or fed up of her.
Well, he didn't want to vlog. She wanted to
Yeah.
vlog. And she didn't seem like she was doing anything wrong. Like she would put the camera down and stuff, unlike Ruby. She just loved filming because she I think she wanted to make some money off of it too, since she wasn't working.
I think it was, yeah, that, and I think it was just something
For
that brought
fun?
her joy.
Okay, yeah. And he used to get really upset. He would just be really mad when she'd pull out the camera. And I couldn't figure out why. Maybe there was something else behind the scenes, but it was really, really sad to see. But they would get into a lot of fights.
Hmm.
Oh, I don't remember the in between story too well.
Okay, so it just seemed like he was like always tired of her wanting to do this thing, even though he decided to go with her.
Mhm.
And I think it may have been abusive prior to them being witnessed in a small town when he like slapped her up. But then they got pulled over because someone called it in, and Gabby basically admitted to like being the aggressor. You know, they both attacked each other, but she was the aggressor initially. But she was just basically saying, you know, like he gets so mad at me all the time and I'm just frustrating. Like it's just, it was frustrating, and you know, maybe he just doesn't have the patience for her. But like to think that you can get into like a teeny tiny squabble over something like that, and for it to escalate the way that it escalated was absolutely nuts.
And he was out there talking to the cops, like, oh, she's just throwing another one of her fits, right?
Yeah.
Like, don't quote me on that exactly, but that is pretty much what he said. And I remember she was sitting in the back of the cop car and she's like, can you please get my phone? I want to call my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And they never got her phone to call her mom.
Are you sure?
Yeah, they didn't.
Dang.
And I don't know why, but I guess it seemed like everything was okay and they were just a couple that got into a fight. But once again, you should never have to put your hands on anybody.
Mm-hmm.
It should never escalate that much for you to have to hit somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows if she hit him back because he hit her so hard, or like, you know what I mean? Like things can escalate quickly, but I really wish she didn't lie when she got pulled over that one time. When they got pulled over that one time, because they said she said that they don't drink, but he was running up a curb. But I guess it may have been because he wasn't focusing on the road, and that's why they got pulled over.
Did it say anywhere in the docu that he did drink?
No, she said they said, "Oh, is he under the influence?" And
Yeah, she
she's like,
said
"No, we
no.
don't drink."
Yeah.
Yeah, but they suspected that he was.
No, but he said that they were swerving because Gabby was trying to like fight him in the car.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that happens. And then like was it like a few short days after that, Gabby decided that she just wants to do it on her own. I don't even remember, like I feel like I've been brainwashed by it. Like
Yeah.
is Gabby did get was it actually Gabby's decision to go back on her own, to like she wanted to camp on her own, and then Brian sent those texts from Gabby to her sister or her friend saying that, you know, she's just gonna do it alone, blah blah blah. And then he took the camper, and then he, you know, her, and
No, I
and
think
then pretended the whole time. Regardless, after that like unfortunate event happened, he did what he did to her, and then took her phone and pretended to be her for, what was it, like a week,
yeah.
and was like texting himself as her and texting like her mom or her sister as her.
Sending money from her phone, from her bank accounts to him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god. And the way that she passed away was horrific.
Yeah.
And the way he
It was
lied
very
about it,
inhumane.
yeah, and the way he lied about it,
Mhm.
he said that she
Okay, wait.
okay,
So
sorry.
before we even get to his letter, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so everybody thinks that Brian is still alive because he went back to his parents' house, supposedly, because Gabby's camper van was at his house. Why was Gabby's van at his house if Gabby was, camping without him?
Mhm.
Okay, his mom wrote him a letter. His mom wrote him a
Mhm.
letter basically saying, if you do anything wrong, I will help you. If you have to hide a body, if you have to like someone, then I'm gonna be there for you. I'm gonna do whatever it is that you want.
And she put burn before read after reading
Yeah.
on the front.
Miss Girl wrote the most ridiculous letter on the planet and then told her son to burn it. And
Yeah.
because he's so not bright,
Cuckoo.
he does not burn the letter and the cops find it. Okay, so now no one's seen Brian. When the cops showed up to the house and saw the camper van, they said, sorry, my lawyer said that it's not okay for you to see him or whatever. Time goes by and like people are like, oh, I see Brian in the woods, blah, 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 blah. And then they found him in the woods also. Yeah, they found, what Mel told me? Mel said that they found only his teeth, which they didn't say in the
Yeah,
docuseries.
they didn't. They said they found his remains. But I heard somewhere else that they found his teeth and that his uncle was a dentist. And I don't put it past them because look at what his parents was hiding from him or for him, sorry.
Mm-hmm,
Also, I'm pretty sure when they found the van when they found the
mm-hmm.
van, Gabby was already missing.
Yeah,
Like there was a poster out that she was missing,
yeah.
and then
When they found the van at his house.
yeah, when they found the van in his house,
Yeah,
and then when they found Gabby, then he went missing
yeah,
a day after.
yeah. And he also left. So the letter that Mel is talking about, he basically left in the letter that they were at the camping grounds or whatever, and that Gabby got hurt, and he was just putting her out of her pain. Like she was begging for him to like end it for her because she was in so much pain from her injury.
He said like she was drowning.
Uh,
Like that's what he said.
because like by the area that there was, it was like they were like going over like a creek or
Yeah,
something,
he said she was drowning, so he
and you
wanted
don't drown in a creek.
no. And she looked like a decently tall girl. Like they were camping. They were in a van. Like I don't really think that she doesn't know how to swim. Is it possible to drown?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
even where they were camping, there was no way that any of the water was 6 feet tall.
Yeah, that's true. And like he said he pulled her out of the water and he just felt like it was best for him to take her life into his hands.
Because she was begging for it.
Yeah, apparently.
She was in so much pain and she was in so much distress that he was just doing her a favor. He was doing what she was asking him to do.
And then when the cops found her body, because they found these two other van vloggers found the van when they were driving past, and then they remember seeing her poster of her missing,
Mm-hmm.
and they remember watching her video. So they saw the van, they call the cops, and they're like, "Hey, like, we see this van that looks like Gabby Petito's." So the cops come and they search the vicinity of where the van was.
Well, no, the other camping vloggers
Mhm.
saw a post saying that like if you guys have any videos from this area from this date and this
Oh, oh,
time,
oh. Mhm.
they were like, oh yeah, we do have footage from there because we were in that park and we did take footage and we did see a van on that day during that time frame.
Mhm.
And because they could like corroborate that that was actually the thing, that's when they were able to canvass the area properly. That's when they located Gabby.
Yeah, and when they located Gabby, when they saw her body, they said that it looked like it was staged. They
Yeah.
said that Brian must have picked her up and placed her body in a certain way,
Mm-hmm.
placed her belongings in a certain way to
Mm-hmm.
make it look like she passed right there in that form that she was passed
Or
in.
like just in that area.
Yeah.
Because they said that there was a fire there, but there was like nothing, there was no supplies that would indicate that someone had created a fire here.
And her boots were laying next to her head and she was like curled up in a ball, and like it just doesn't seem very humane to pass away like that. And they could just tell. They could tell that it was staged.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I think there were other injuries to her body that like didn't like follow through with the
oh,
actual.
They said that her cause of death was strangulation.
Yeah.
That's what they found, so they probably found bruises all over her neck.
That's why in the note he left that he had to put her out of her misery. So maybe that like covers it all up. But
Yeah.
people still think now, like, so after we watched that docu, we went on TikTok a little bit to like look at some stuff, and people still think that he's alive because of that whole teeth theory.
Like, I don't know if there was any evidence, and let me know if you guys do know, um, if there was any evidence of finding his full body or finding his like all of his remains. You know what I mean? Like, because
Yeah,
I don't know what they found. They just said his remains. It could just be his teeth. Like, I don't
is there an
know.
article somewhere out there that actually states what was found when Brian's body was found?
What was his cause of death that they said?
I don't recall.
I think it was it.
I think it was a self-harm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it may have been.
Yeah. Cuz that's why he wrote the letter. He was like so guilt-ridden and
Which it makes sense, but like the way that they laid it out, but at the same time, it could easily just be another setup. He already staged one death. You know what I mean?
mhm.
So, I don't know, but he's crazy and I really, really, really hope he's not out there. I really hope nobody has to ever go through that.
I'm sorry, I had to stretch my arm.
That's okay. I really hope nobody ever has to go through that because that seems like it's incredibly painful and nobody should have, especially Gabby. She was only 22, having to suffer that much
Mhm.
when she just was an innocent
And
girl.
that's so sad. Like, you know, you're so in love with this person, and then you want to do this thing with this person, and they're not happy to do this thing with you, even though they said they wanted to. And then it just becomes abusive and it becomes like scary. And now your love becomes this very volatile environment, which was something that made you happy once. And it's so damaging to like your mental health also. So it's just really sad.
One of the things that really stuck with me from that documentary was hearing her dad saying how he can't imagine who she must have called out for because they said that he said that every single time something happened to her, anything, she would call her mom, her stepmom, her stepdad, or her dad. And he cannot imagine the pain that she was in, not being able to call out for help at all. She was just stuck, and there was nothing else left for her in that moment. Like, she
Mhm.
couldn't do anything. And it's so sad, especially because we're outsiders viewing this. I cannot even imagine what her family must feel.
Mhm.
That's not something that you just easily get over, you know?
Mhm.
It's just so sad and so upsetting to see that that had to happen to her.
So those are the two crime docs that we watched this week. We actually watch all of them,
Mhm.
but just because we just watched this one, honestly, any crime doc that I watch, I feel like everybody should watch. I know not everybody is like comfortable watching those things because it is hard to watch, but I think it's like really important to be aware. When you're aware, you pick out signs sometimes. Like if you see someone struggling and they're not talking about it, also, I think it is very, very, very important for victims' names never to be forgotten.
Yep.
And I think that's part of the biggest reason why I watch crime docs.
In the documentary, they actually said there were about 80,000, I think, similar cases to Gabby Petito's that were left unsolved.
And that's so sad.
And that is so sad to think that these families
Are
still
still
have no
suffering.
answers,
Mm-hmm.
and thankfully Gabby Petito's family can rest hopefully easier knowing what happened instead of not knowing where she is still.
Yeah.
Nothing
Like
will
they
make it
could have
easy
put
though.
her to
Nothing will
rest.
make it easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
But these other families, like, it's just so sad to hear like how many people, and it's just so hard because you can't do anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
So if you can stomach them, please do give them watch. Where did we watch Gabby? Also on Disney Plus?
I know Gabby was Netflix.
Okay,
It's
so
also in the US and Canada.
Gabby's on Netflix, and the Ruby Franke story is on Disney Plus for Canada and
And Hulu.
Hulu for the US.
Mhm.
But yeah, if you can watch them, watch them. I think it's important.
There's nothing gory or anything in them. It's more just the storytelling.
Yeah.
So I do say watch it to educate yourself.
Yeah.
As you said, just watch them to educate yourself. It's just good to know. It's really good to know.
So yeah, that was how we felt about those two docs. They're docu-series. Sorry, they're 3 parts each, I believe,
Mhm.
both like roughly an hour episode. Upcoming news, we're going to a basketball game.
Yes. You're gonna hear about it soon.
We're going to a Raptors 905 game this week, so we'll take you along with us. Cannot forget, Mel is going away soon.
Gonna be
So
in the warm.
yeah, she's gonna have a good time. She's gonna go visit Guyana, see her dad, her and her mom. So that'll be fun. Please, if you guys know any other details that we didn't share in this, or you know details outside of those outside of those two docuseries, please drop them because like we would love to know more stuff, especially about the whole like Gabby and Brian.
Mhm.
If you have any update on what's going on with Ruby, I mean we've looked up some stuff too, but if you
Yeah.
feel like you have any other information you want to share, please do so because we love it. We love to know. We love to learn.
And once again, even though we've shared mostly all of the information from them in here, still go give it a look. Like, go watch it
Yeah.
because you're gonna learn and interpret things differently than we did.
Yeah, and we would
So,
love to hear how you felt about it or what your take was on
yeah.
it. But yeah, that's it for now. Big sis.
Lil sis.
And before you check out, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave comments below. We love it when you leave comments below. And we will see you
Next
next
time.
time. Bye.
Bye.